remember the board game? Sorry. Well, this basically is off on that. As Mike McCarthy went to see Randy Gregory and basically, without saying the word saying I'm sorry in terms of he did not agree with how his defense coaching staff has dealt with the situation in terms of not letting Randy Gregory play last year, only playing about 40% of the snaps twice. So it's like, what will happen? Well, at that point, we didn't know, and now they fired 2 coaches. Now we know, but moving on into that, it was more of saying we didn't know what we were doing. Very interesting situation to be in, but it's just a point to think about. As we get a lot of news to enter through today, including the Julio Jones trade, so let's get into it. The Bills rookie Gregory Rousseau signed his rookie deal, which was a 4-year, $11 million, $11.65 million. So quite a bit of money. All guaranteed. Ravens signed wide receiver Darren Gray, 1-year contract, pending physical, which hasn't come back as of yet. Played in the in-spring league, also spent 3 years on the Falcons practice squad. Jaguars signed Pharaoh Cooper, 1-year contract, recently played for the Panthers. Jets left tackle Mekhi Becton is dealing with plantar fasciitis, which is a part of your foot that the illness basically means you can't stand on your foot without being in severe pain. You can't get off as quickly, and for an offensive lineman, that's very important. It won't require surgery, he'll just have to be off his feet for a few weeks. But he should be ready for camp. The Patriots signed wide receiver, formerly of the Lions and Bears, Marvin Hall. Leighton Vander Esch had an injury scare last week. Just good news came out as he just got the wind knocked out of him. He went to dive for an interception. He ended up landing on the ball and just got the wind knocked out of him, as I said before. But that's because he knows contract year. They've drafted 2 guys in this previous draft at my position. I gotta show out, so I deserve to stay here. Julio Jones admitted he did not know he was on Undisputed when Shannon Sharp called him and asked him if he was going to get traded. Now, as I said before, this would be a bad situation if it came out to be true, and as we previously reported for the last few weeks, that's what I believed, and now it comes out that, yeah, I didn't know. Now, is there a possibility that Fox is going to do anything? Probably not. Is Undisputed really even going to hear about it? Probably not, but could the NFL go and say something? Possibly. Really possibly, because now you're really demeaning everything. But maybe this was not impromptu. Maybe this was actually supposed to happen. It got the Falcons in their situation, so we'll really only be able to probably know in the coming years what really happened. Now, Geno Atkins did make some news on Friday. Kind of. As EMM puts it, Geno Atkins to visit the Cowboys. Then he commented about 4 or 5, 10 minutes later to visit with the Cowboys Team Doctor, Dan Cooper. Dan Cooper has his own practice. The Cowboys Team Doctor has his own practice. He works everywhere. His team is very good. He's employed by the Cowboys, but he did Jalen Smith's surgery when Jalen Smith got injured in college. That's the reason why he fell to the Cowboys, and that's why Dan Cooper was able to say, yeah, he'll be good. This is what happened. This is what we did. He'll be fine. And that's why the Cowboys took that chance. He did. He ended up doing Geno Atkins' rotator cuff surgery. Now, this is only going to happen, this checkup is only going to happen in the next few weeks. But does it give the Cowboys some insight? Possibly. Actually, yes, it does. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Right now, it's only a checkup with Dan Cooper, not with the Dallas Cowboys. The Vikings agreed to a deal with Bashard Breeland, formerly Chief, the Kansas City Chief. Saints bring Drake Patrick in for a visit. Former Bengals cornerback, played for the Cards last year, visited the New England Patriots early in the offseason. I mean, okay, I guess, but he's not the same guy he was before. Like, he was a starting caliber corner. Now he's not. Maybe he has to do with, like, what, if you remember back in the day, what Ronnie Lott did, which was move to safety. Leon Hall did the same in Cincinnati. He moved from corner to safety because he knew, I'm getting too old. I can't run as much as I used to, so I gotta move to a position where I have that ability to see everything coming from a mile away. Juwan James files a grievance against the Denver Broncos, seeks $15 million. That makes a lot of sense. We all thought this was going to happen, and it was a matter of time, when, not if. It was just going to happen, because if you remember correctly, Juwan James got hurt working out at his home, but since he didn't get hurt at the facility, the Broncos had the choice of saying, do we want to pay him, or do we not? Or do we don't want to? They chose not to. Juwan James was an opt-out of last year season, and now he's not going to play in this season. But wait, there's more, as he signs a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. Now really, this is more like a 1-year deal, only $9 million. So we're going to see really what happens. That information came out about an hour later that he was going to go play for Baltimore, even though he was hurt. And he can't play next year. He'll only be able to play the year after. We'll just have to wait and see. The Ravens extend restricted free agent running back Gus Edwards to a 2-year contract worth $10 million. The Bucks, in terms of the Super Bowl champs, have revised contracts with head coach Bruce Arians and general manager Jason Licht. Bruce Arians' contract revisement results in a pay raise, and Jason Licht's contract results in multiple years contract. So it's very well, because as many teams have said that, well, it's very hard to bring back everybody. Now the Bucks, they brought back everyone from last year's team, including bringing in some guys. So that's a very interesting move. The Titans traded for Julio Jones. The Titans get Julio Jones and a 6th-round pick in 2023, as the Falcons get a 2022 second and a 2023 4th. Now, if it was going to fluctuate whether it was a 3rd or a 4th, it ended up being a 4th. The Titans, this is a good detail to keep an eye on. The Titans take on Julio Jones' salary for this year, which is $15.3 million. Remember that number. And the rest of his deal, leaving the Falcons to only have $7.75 million in dead cap money. Let me explain this. When players get traded and they're on contract, you're going to have dead money. If you cut somebody on contract, you're going to have dead money. the fact that the Falcons got away with only having to take $7.75 million in dead cap, and that's it. That's very good, suggesting that Julio's under contract for 3 years after this year. So we'll just have to wait and see. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers' status for mandatory minicamp that starts today is undefined. It's doubted that he'll show up. Now, granted, they could fine him for every day he misses, but it's not worth it if he comes. But even if he does attend, it doesn't mean he's going to stay in Green Bay. It just means, hey, I came from mandatory camp, but I'm not coming back. I'm going to do my own kind of Zeke thing, which was go basically to Cabo, do my own Cabo experience. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but it's very interesting to see what is going to happen over the course of the next few weeks and months. Michael Gallup, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver, was talking about his contract. He says, I wanted to stay in Dallas. Well, and I liked Michael Gallup, 3rd round pick out of Colorado. This is his last year on his rookie deal. And I liked Michael Gallup since he got brought in as a rookie. He caught 33 balls his first year, and then he caught 64 balls his second year. So he got better. And last year, he really made a good jump in that 3rd year. Had about same thing, about 64 catches, about 800 yards. Him and C.D. Lamb had a total of about 1,700 yards on roughly almost 1,800 yards, where Amari Cooper had 1,100 yards on his own. If you could imagine what having Dak Prescott will be compared to having a rotating carousel at quarterback, we'll just have to wait and see, but that would be amazing to see and watch, because they're going to put on the show. Here's some interesting news. When Ryan Fitzpatrick starts and takes a snap from the Washington football team's center, he would have played for 28% of the NFL as a league. And I figured it out. That's a fourth of the league. And I honestly, I had to admit it, before he went to Washington, and he was a free agent, I wanted him to go to New England. Because I believe he would have been the first player ever to play for each team in the same division. Because he played in Buffalo, he played in New York, and he played in Miami. He only has to play in New England. I wish he went to do that, because that would have been amazing. Because I believe he would have been the first player ever to do so. And that would have been amazing to watch, amazing to see, and it would have been interesting to see how he would have worked with Bill Belichick. Malik Hooker visited the Steelers. Obviously, he visited the Cowboys and the Dolphins, and nothing came out of it, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Maybe he can find a home somewheres in the NFL. The Titans restructured quarterback Ryan Tannehill's contract for the 2021 season. And as what Rappaport said, it was a simple restructure. They had about $15 million already, but Julio's not making $15 million. He's making $15.3 million. So they needed some room. And the way you can make room is either you cut somebody or you restructure a guy. They can do that with Ryan Tannehill at any time. It's pretty much just an email. Hey, we're taking your salary this year, or your salary, or half of your salary, we're putting it into your bonus. So you're going to get this for not playing at all. For the salary, you'll get the rest during the year. And the player's like, okay, I get the money now. Awesome. Let me get the money now then. I don't have to do anything. Jones, as you remember, Jones will make $15.3 million this year. Bad news for the 49er and 49er fans, as offensive tackle Justin Skull has tore his ACL in yesterday's practice, a day before mandatory minicamp. And safety Tarvarius Moore tore his Achilles in the same practice. Now this is a very difficult situation to be in, because if you're Skull, you're the offensive tackle. If you're the offensive line, you either have to reshuffle guys, move guys all over the place, put a backup there. You don't really want to do that, or you go get a guy who's cheap. That may be the better option, but it makes your job a lot harder. And at safety, now you're like, okay, which safety spot? Is he a backup safety? No, we don't know. Is he a starter? If he's a starter, we're in trouble, because if he's free safety, we gotta find someone to go take that spot. If he's a strong safety, we gotta find someone to take that spot. So it's a very difficult kind of game, cat and mouse. It really is. We'll just have to wait and see. In the NFL, that happens. Injuries happen all the time. You just gotta wait and see how it affects you. It'll happen eventually. It could happen in camp. It could happen when you're at home. It could happen in the playoffs. It could happen in the Super Bowl. It could happen during the regular season, postseason, preseason. No matter what, it can happen. It works its way through it. You just have to be prepared. Julio is not, however, in Tennessee, not going to wear number 11. He wore number 82 in high school. He wore number 8 at Georgia. I would really want him to play with number 8, have the number 8 jersey on in Tennessee, but I don't really want to see him in 82. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I am fully interested in what this does for the Titans, and also how much more of a threat do they become to the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Cowboys' competition, we referenced it. Offensive line, no real competition at the starting positions, more of the backup roles. Quarterback, same thing. No way anyone's taking over Dak unless he gets hurt, which hopefully that does not happen. But more for the backup roles, that will be between Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci, and Cooper Rush. So not a lot of names there anyway. At the wide receiver position, not really. Maybe at 4, at wide receiver 4 and wide receiver 5, but not really. In terms of defensive line, no, more backup roles, as I said again. Linebacker, no. It's just going to be interesting to see how they use Micah Parsons and possibly Jabril Cox. Maybe they use Micah Parsons in that DPR role that Mike McCarthy loves to reference, as a designated pass rusher, which was basically, hey, we can have him cover a running back. He can blitz. He can just do anything that we want him to do. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. He can cover. He can do everything we want. We'll just have to wait and see, because in the 3 linebackers, he's the middle linebacker. Yet when it's 2 linebackers, which you're usually in most of the time, he's not on the field. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. At corner, the interest is at who's going to play at the number 2 corner. Is it Anthony Brown? I don't know. He might get cut. Who knows? Is it Kelvin Joseph? Well, he's battling an illness right now. We don't know. What about Jordan Lewis? No, he's more of a nickel corner. What about Maurice Kennedy? Maybe, but we don't know. He hasn't played in a year. What about Nashawn Wright? Well, maybe, possibly. Dan Quinn likes 6'4" corners. Nashawn Wright said he was probably like the next Richard Sherman. So we'll just have to really wait and see what happens. And at safety, it's the interesting position. We know if DeMonte Casey is healthy, which he's shown so far he is, he'll be the free safety. Who's going to be the strong safety? Is it going to be Donovan Wilson? I don't know. I hope so. But is it Jerron Kearse, who's been around the league a long time? He just hasn't been a great player and a great fit on many teams. And finally, before we leave the air, this got brought to my attention. Longtime NFL coach Jim Fossil has passed away at the age of 71. He was having chest pain yesterday. Went to the hospital, had a heart attack under sedation, and passed away. John Fossil, his son, Bones Fossil, is obviously the special teams coordinator for the Cowboys, was the special teams coordinator for the Rams at one point. And honestly, we send our prayers to the Fossil family, but Jim